part of the job searching process. How many are there? Roughly about 2,000, 3,000 the last census. It might be even more now because that was like 4 years ago when this was taken. So candidates have a lot more choices, and obviously search engine. Now if you go looking for a job, you don't necessarily go to newspapers or job boards anymore. This is stats from the US. Most people go to Google to do the job search now, not necessarily your website or everything. So you need to have perhaps a Google strategy if that's what you're trying to do. But I think the main sort of explosion I think is in personal publishing. So I blog, and perhaps I'm standing here partly because of my blog, because I've been blogging for about 8 months, and that's how they came to know of me. And perhaps if I were to look for another job, and my employer do a Google search, they'll probably see my blog, and they'll probably know what type of person I am. So publishing tool, blogs, obviously Twitter and everything else, social networks, there's so many ways job seekers can announce their availability. So, and obviously we've seen the data, I won't talk too much about this, but if you look at the latest data, June, it says 9 million visited social networks. So that's a lot of connection, that's a lot of channels that you can go to find jobs. So if you look at a typical graduate today, this is a typical graduate, when she graduates, have at least 17 channels that she can use to find a job. And that's excluding recruitment firms and on the social network. So that's this massive explosion in channels to find jobs. And now job seekers, I think, are mounting big choices. So what do we have? We have a situation where they have more information than before, and they have more choices in terms of announcing their availability. Again, my situation, when I first came to Australia, I didn't know a single soul. But if you look today, I have at least 1,000 followers on Twitter. I have about 300 friends on Facebook. And on LinkedIn, I have about 300 connections. So I can actually use those connections to find my next job. It's very, very easy. I probably should tweet that, look, I'm looking for a job. This is what I can do. I'm interested. So I probably don't need to use the channel that we currently pour money to find candidates, because candidates have so much choice. And that's continuing to happen. I think the last trend that's happening in candidates' favor is the changing behavior. Tools are good. We have tools like to find jobs, but I think the real change that's impacting our industry is the changing behavior of job seekers. Ray Sharkey, professor at NYU, says that a revolution doesn't happen when society adopts new tools. It happens when society adopts new behavior. And I think this is the crux. If you look at our society, our country, our economy, and the job seekers, how we behave, how we view jobs, how we look for jobs, how we see employers, it's changing rapidly in the last 2 or 3, say, last decade, but even more so in the last 2 years. For example, we're a lot more mobile. 1 million, approximately 5% of students are overseas right now, spread around about 75 countries. Most of the data from DFAT says that we're mostly highly skilled, high income, and most of these people, they return to Australia after about 3 years overseas. So when they come back, how do they view the workplace? How do they find jobs? How do they use their networks that they build globally? All those behaviors are changing on how they look for a job. 1 in 10 workers are independent contractors. This, I think, is absolutely amazing numbers, because there's almost 1 million people who don't want to work for you if you're an employer. They want to work for themselves. So freelancing, all of those group comes under this. This is data from ABS. So that's a very significant number. So if you're a contractor, the way you look for a job is very different if you're looking for a full job. If you're a contractor, you want the whole world to know that you're looking for a job because you're branding yourself. So the way these people look for jobs is very different from how a firm would do. So I think this is rather significant. And if you look at this number, 2.3 million decided they want to work only part-time. There's web statistic this morning. So I think this is also a very significant number. Our workplace is changing. And if you look at this, this is another aspect of our workforce. 57% of IT professionals are born overseas. And if you look at the other numbers, they're quite significant. In fact, I don't think any other nation in the world compares to how much diverse our workforce is now. And this is affecting how we look for jobs. And statistics from Gallup found that we're not very happy lot at work. 82% said we're not engaged and it's costing us a lot of money. So our disengagement at work, again, dictates how we look for jobs and how it triggers the job search process in individuals. So statistics from SEEK also tells us that the vast majority, 68%, are frequent job seekers. They look for jobs online at least once a week, 68%. So that's a very significant number. It's almost like we don't want to be at work always looking out for the perfect sort of job. So if you look at the turnover rate, it's a lot of churn. Nationally, it's 19%, but in other areas like food services, hospitality, 40%. IT is really high as well, about 20%. So staff are constantly moving. Turnover rate is really high. And as mentioned, we're also very So, sort of employment tenure. If you look at this data from ABS again, the vast majority, 22%, have been in their work for only for less than one year. So we shift a lot. Can I just quick, how many of us here today have been in their current workplace for more than 1 year? All right, we're probably an exception. But we're all good people. What it is, so what it is though is if you look at this data, that's 22%, that's almost 1.2 million changed job in the last 12 months. So that's a lot of churn in terms of how we move from jobs. So we barely spend more, the majority barely spend more than 12 months in a job. So we're openly quite vocal about what we don't like, and there's all those places where you can now be very vocal about what you would like to know. So this again is a very significant number. Maybe as it says that almost 700,000 are ready to move if given the thing. And I think the most significant part here is that employers are also quite open and accepting of the fact that job seekers are going to not stay in the company for long. Alexander did a study of this. The majority of employers think that length of service in your own company doesn't really matter anymore. In terms of priority, it's almost at the bottom. So companies themselves are faced with that situation, and they're a lot more accepting of how things are. And also, I think if you're the CEO, for example, it's better you don't speak about your company because nobody really trusts it. 19%, only 19% of us really trust CEO, and we're very, very skeptical about any information that comes out of companies. Just 6%. That's a very low percent across any advertisement that comes out from companies. So if you put up a job and you say, "Oh, we have this really good workplace," the first instinct is they don't believe it. Job seekers don't believe it. Instead, they believe in the recommendation of their friends or their network. So, generally speaking, we're very untrust. We don't trust information that comes out from employees. So, that's a big challenge. That's a big challenge for all of us.